everyone, and welcome to the Fourth and Long podcast here on Rumble with your host, Alec Pecano. Today's video, I will be going over my Big 12 conference preview for the 2024 season. And how this goes is I do the non-bowl teams first, then I do the bowl teams, then I do sleepers, then I do potential conference winners. So let's get started. First, the non-bowl teams. And my first non-bowl team is Arizona State. And I also want to hear y'all's thoughts and opinions on my Big 12 conference preview. But starting with Arizona State. I have Arizona State going 3-9 this year. I think they're going to struggle in their first year in the Big 12. I do like the direction they're going in with Kenny Dillingham, but I think it's going to take maybe a couple years before they turn this rough stretch around and compete in the Big 12. And I don't really know who their quarterback's going to be in 2024. And I would have said Jaden Rashada, but he's not there. He is at Georgia now. And I just don't see a way Arizona State wins more than 3 games this year. And I'll give Kenny Dillingham's hot seat a 3 right now. It's getting to the point where it could be hot, but it's warm right now. It's a warm seat. Number 2, my second non-bowl team is Houston. And the main reason I don't have Houston going to a bowl game in 2024 is because they are bringing in a new head coach of Willie Fritz. Now, I'm excited for Houston going forward in the Big 12. I like Willie Fritz. He was at Tulane the last few years, and I think Willie Fritz is going to do special things at Houston, but I think it's going to take maybe 1 or 2 years before Houston hits the ground running and competes. So therefore, Houston's 2024 record for me is 5-7, which to me is overachieving in year number 1 under head coach Willie Fritz. My next non-bowl team is Baylor. And boy, the fall off of Baylor needs to be studied. Big time studied. And I think Baylor's going to go 2-10 this year. I do like the addition of Daquan Finn for Baylor, but why is it doing that? 2. Sorry about that. We should be good now. I do like Daquan Finn coming to Baylor. I still think that Baylor is not going to be that good this year, but I'm being harsh when I give them a 2-10 record because I could easily see them winning 5 games and being somewhat competitive. But David Aranda's hot seat is very hot. It to me, it's steaming, which means he could be fired if Baylor starts 0-3 or 0-4. I think Aranda gets fired at that point. And my final non-bowl team is Cincinnati. And they didn't do jack squat in the I mean, they did a little bit in the portal. They got Brandon Sorsby from Indiana. But I don't really see an avenue where Cincinnati wins more than 4 games this year. I have Cincinnati going 4-8 in 2024. Now, then again, they could make a bowl game, but, and this is me being nice to them, I don't see them winning more than 4 games. Now, here are my bowl teams. The first one is BYU. BYU's the first bowl team I have. And I could see BYU. I think BYU goes 6-6. Now, I was very low on BYU last year. But I think this year, BYU wins at least 6 games, makes a bowl game, and they're a lot more competitive in year 2 in the Big 12 than they were in year number 1. My second bowl team is Kansas. Now, there's people out there saying that Kansas could win the Big 12 and make the playoff. Now, I can see that, but I'm going to be realistic here. I think Baylor wins. I think Kansas wins 7 games. They go 7-5. The big question for me with Kansas is, can Jalen Daniels and Devin Neal stay healthy the entire season? If they can, then I see a way that they make the playoff and win more than 7 games. But if they don't stay healthy, I can see them winning between 6 and 7 games, still making a bowl game and having a really good season, and Lance Leipold maybe getting poached away to a bigger school. My next bowl team is TCU. Now, everybody's forgetting that TCU just a couple years ago was in the college football playoff. And I could see a world where TCU makes the playoff again. And we see TCU make the playoff, but I think TCU goes 6-6, makes a bowl game, and has a really good season. And they are very competitive in every single game. And my last bowl team, and this may surprise some people, because they were a powerhouse in the AAC. It is UCF. I think UCF is going to go 7-5 this year. They lost John Rice Plumlee. They lost Javon Baker. They lost a lot. They had to replace a lot of guys. And I could see where UCF makes a bowl game, for 1, and 2, they win that bowl game. Now here are my potential. Okay, now we get to my sleepers. My first sleeper is Colorado. And I know I'm going to get some grief for putting Colorado as a sleeper, because there's people that don't think Colorado is particularly going to win more than 5 games. I think they win more than 5 games. I think Colorado in 2024 goes 8-5 in the Big 12. And I think Colorado is a heck of a choice for a sleeper pick. And I'd even bet money on them to win more than 8 games. If you're a betting man, if you're a betting person like I am, I have a bet with 2 of my buddies that I went to college with. Well, one that I went to college with and one that I grew up with, that Colorado is going to win more than 5 games this year. As you see by my prediction, I have them winning 8. I like what Deion did in the portal. He retooled that offensive line and made it a lot better. And I think that Colorado has a really good opportunity here to win 8 games and maybe, if they win more than 8 games, maybe make the playoff. We'll see. My second sleeper is Iowa State. And my last sleeper is called Iowa State. I think Iowa State goes 8-5 as well. We saw how good they did last year without basically 7 or 8 guys because of a betting scandal they had. But I think Iowa State goes 8-5 and makes a bowl game. Maybe they win more than 8 games, just like Colorado, and maybe they make the conference championship game. I will be giving him a conference championship game pick for the Big 12 here in a minute. Now, my potential conference winners for the Big 12. The first one is Kansas State, and I think Kansas State's going to go 10-3 this year. Kansas State, they did lose. They did lose Will Howard to Ohio State, but I think that Kansas State, I like Avery Johnson. I think he's going to do just fine at K-State. And I like their schedule. Now, the only question I have about their schedule is, can they beat? I don't think they have to play Arizona. Can they beat K-State? Can they beat Kansas and Texas Tech? And speaking of Texas Tech, they're my next potential conference winner, going 9-4. I had doubts about Joey McGuire going into last year. I thought he was on the hot seat because Texas Tech didn't do good the year before. He is officially off the hot seat. He is no longer a part of the hot seat discussion. But I think that Texas Tech is going to go 9-4, and I think they have potential to win more than 9 games and make the conference championship game, but I don't think they do. My next potential conference winner is Arizona. And my record for Arizona is 11-2 in 2024. Now, y'all can say that I'm a little crazy for thinking Arizona is going to go 11-2 with all the guys they lost in the portal. But there's 2 guys that stayed to be with head coach Brett Brennan at Arizona, and it is Noah Fafita and T-Mac, which that's Noah Fafita's favorite wide receiver. And I think Arizona has a perfect chance to win the Big 12 this year in their first year in the conference. My next team that's a potential conference winner for the Big 12 is Oklahoma State. And I know it's everybody's trendy pick. I have learned my lesson. Don't doubt Mike Gundy. And if you want to do it at your own faulty and failure because it will come back to bite you in the behind like it did me last year. Last year, I had Oklahoma State going 7-5, and they overachieved. This year, I think they go 11-3 with the potential to maybe win 12 games. Now, will they win 12 games? Who knows? But my next conference winner, potential conference winner for the Big 12, is going to be West Virginia, who went 9-4 in 2023. I think they outdo that and go 10-3 in 2024. They've returned Garrett Green. Neil Brown got a contract extension, which Neil Brown was one of the coaches for me that was on the hot seat last year for before the season started. Now he's not. But I seem to think that West Virginia is going to have a really good season this year. And my last potential conference winner is another team that they just joined the Big 12 this year, Utah. And I have Utah going 12-1 in 2024. Cam Rising's back. Brant Keithy's back. Kyle Whittingham is still the coach. I think that Utah might win the Big 12. Like I said earlier, you're going to see who I think wins the Big 12 in a second. Now, here's my top 5 teams in the Big 12. At number 5 is Kansas State going 10-3. At number 4 is West Virginia going 10-3. The only difference is I have West Virginia winning one more game in conference than I have Kansas State winning. Number 3 is Oklahoma State going 11-3. Number 2 is Arizona going 11-2. And number 1 is Utah going 12-1. Here is my Big 12 championship game. It is 11-2 Arizona and 12-1 Utah. And my Big 12 conference winner for 2024 is Utah. And they end the end of regular season and conference championship going 13-1. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. I'm going to try to do more videos on Rumble, but have a wonderful rest of your day.